That brings me to this case because this was brought to my attention, and you guys, I told you guys before, when I find out more information, we're going to bring it forward, right? So the theme today is law and order, and we've been talking about the Karmelo Anthony case. It was brought to my attention by you guys who emailed me that there is another case in Texas that is similar to the Karmelo Anthony case. And I want to play this video here. This involves Caysen Allison. Everyone, listen to this really quick. Similar situation with Karmelo Anthony. And then Nico, I want to get your take on this.
Video was replayed from yesterday showing the school hallway where you see the boys entering the bathroom and then leaving sometime later in a rush. And then the short video caught on Shamel's phone of what happened on the other side of the door was played. Shamel explaining that what he caught on video shows Ramirez taking the first swing at Allison, and then you see Allison pull out the knife before a loud scream is heard and the video cuts off. Barber said Allison didn't want to fight and just wanted to make it to graduation, and Shamel said in the moment it didn't look like Allison wanted to fight. Barber also said that Ramirez and his friends were known to fight, and Shamel saying Ramirez liked having his fights recorded, and that this fight was planned, but no one expected it to happen on school grounds. Barber said it wasn't normal for Allison to have a knife on him, but she knew he had one because Allison told her he got one for protection. An altercation was described by former students that an argument broke out at a prom after party, and it was likely that Ramirez and Allison verbally fought over a girl. Shamel told the court that Ramirez looked surprised to see Allison in the bathroom that day, and you could feel the tension between the two. Barber is seen talking to Ramirez on the hallway security footage, visibly upset. She started to cry as she explained to the court that she was trying to tell Ramirez that the fight isn't worth it because they are about to graduate. Court wrapped for the day just 20 minutes after a fifth witness was brought in, Josh Grimes, another good friend of Ramirez, who was also in the bathroom when the fight started. So they will be back here tomorrow morning at 9, where the defense will continue to question Grimes.
So this case here between these two boys, Ramirez and Allison, similar situation, Nico, where one had a knife with him on him, just like Karmelo Anthony, right? So they got into a scuffle or whatever, and the kid that had the knife stabbed the other kid, just like with Karmelo Anthony. But
which, by the way, is actually kind of worse. I mean, because from the way it was described, he's saying that he was to some degree aware that there was going to be a fight in school, potentially. There's going to be an altercation, and it was premeditated. So like now you're in that's actually a worse situation than what Carmelo's like. He looked like he always just kept a knife on for protection because it's like you're a black kid in Texas, and you just never know what can happen. I don't know if I've ever been in track, by the way. I was part of a brawl. I didn't do it. It was like, but half of our track team was part of a gang. So like, it just so happened that half of the other track team was part of a gang, and it was a brawl. It ended up like just being fists, but like, you never know what could happen depending on what area you live in. And Texas is wild, y'all. I don't know if you know these high schools in Texas, but you talking about like open campus on high school. They can just walk out and leave and come back when they want to. It's like Wild West out there. So just let y'all know. It's not that crazy to have a knife on you and attract me. I'm just saying.
But well, I never had that. I had that experience. But the thing I want to bring up is this. Notice how the media, corporate media, Fox News, all of them, notice how they are covering the Karmelo Anthony case. Yep. You don't see them covering this case, which is very similar. And in Texas around the same time.
Yeah, it's like within the exact same. It's like, I think it's supposed to go from it started, maybe a couple of days ago. And it's supposed to go until the 25th. And I think Karmelo Anthony's case is actually around, like literally supposed to be happening around the same time. Even their bond. The bond was $1 million originally for Caysen Allison. And then it got lowered to $250,000. Same thing happened with Karmelo, right? But like I said, in this situation with Karmelo, what's interesting to me is that all of a sudden, these people who are they just preach self-defense, like that argument just goes out the window, and you're seeing them create this divide on purpose, like literally, like without even trying to hide it. Like oh, we need to drum up sympathy for the what's his name? The white kid who was stabbed by Karmelo.
Austin.
Metcalf. Yeah, like we need to drum up. Like basically, they want to drum up sympathy. They only create like a GoFundMe, literally to compete with Karmelo. Like it's weird, y'all. They're like, oh, we got to defend our guy. You look at this monster. Look at and even tried to make up lies about his family buying this house using the Give Send Go money, and they're like, no, we moved because one, we need the safety because of how this case is being covered, right? Which is crazy, right? Because you didn't read anything, at least I didn't see anything about Caysen Allison, his whole family needing to relocate because of how this case was covered.
But why is that, Nico? This is the point I'm trying to make. I think the media chose to focus on the Carmelo Anthony case and not the Caysen Allison case, which they should focus on both because they're trying to make it a racial divide.
Exactly.
That's what I really think is happening. Remember, both sides have said that this was not a racial incident. Both sides with Carmelo Anthony's case have said that. But the media, you look at Fox News, the way they covered this, the way a lot of the conservative commentators like Benny Johnson, Officer Tatum, the way that they covered it and stuff like that. But they're not talking about the Caysen Allison case. Similar case, same state, around the same time. So what I'm trying to put out there to people is they're trying to, I really do think, create some type of a race war.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's. At least they're trying to create like some online way. Because let's be honest, unfortunately, with a lot of those SJW commentators, they can't focus on Trump as much anymore. A lot of them can't make money off of the Trump economy, was what I like to call it, because he's been kind of screwing them over. A lot of them are trying to transition away from it, and they have to go into these SJW tactics. They have to revert back. Even Fox News, right? Because talking about Israel is not the business. Like it's not winning them anybody over. Trump and these tariffs are exposing everybody. It's like, okay, are you loyal to the U.S. or are you loyal to Trump? And the way that people are trying to defend his tariffs has been going over that well. So what do you have to revert back to? Same thing when you're not talking about Biden and you can't defend Trump, they go back to SJW tactics. Not unlike what they complain about with radical leftists or really liberals. So they have to make it about race. And it doesn't work if you're talking about a white kid who stabbed a Latino, right? It doesn't work the same. But if a black kid stabs a white kid, what is he doing with a knife on school campus? And what he like, well, no, the dude approached him and he said, don't touch me. And he touched me and he got stabbed. I mean, I actually agree with being able to defend yourself. I personally think he should have took it that far, but I also don't think he should be tried for murder. Like, I don't think he should be found guilty of murder. But like, you did bring a knife on school campus, like or even at a track meet, that's illegal, right? So you're gonna have to deal with those consequences. But it isn't, like you said, had nothing to do with race. Has nothing to do with the character of Carmelo Anthony as a young man. I mean, he was captain of his track team, captain of his football team. His family seems to be well-to-do. His mom is a stay-at-home mother because his dad does so well for himself. They didn't use that money from Give, Send, Go, but people are lying because there was an assumption that how could a black family move out of nowhere into a gated community? Well, we were actually living in a nice house before. We just moved houses. That's it. Because of y'all. But Caysen Allison's family didn't have to do that. Why is that? And no one wants to deal with that question.
That part right there. And speaking of that, the father did speak out again. Austin Metcalf's dad just spoke. There was a rally. I guess this was supposed to be a rally for Austin Metcalf, and his father was not a part of this rally. But they did something that I thought was just so crummy. They called his dad on the phone to let him know, like, hey, we're here, like, rallying for Austin. And this is supposed to be like this white lives, like protect white lives or whatever, like rally, right? I want you guys to hear what the father says to them on the phone.
Would you be willing to stand by me in a press conference or in an individual interview and talk about this issue that is larger than Austin at this point? God rest the beautiful young man's soul that would have been one of our strongest voices if he was still alive today. Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, my turn to speak. You are part of the fucking problem, my friend.
Hey.
You're trying to create more race divide than bridging the gap. I do not condone anything you do. You do not have any fucking...
That's called white guilt. No, let it talk.
My son, let me finish. I'm giving you time. You take my son's face off your website. I am not associated with you.
You're creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness, sir. You are creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness.
You are being weak. I gotta be honest with you about that, sir.
You're being weak.
Wow.
Condemn your son's killer and the culture that caused it.
So here is Austin Metcalf's dad, who they called, which I'm sorry, like this was just so dirty. Like, let him grieve his son, right? So they called his dad while they're at this rally, and his dad said, "You are trying to create racial divide." He said, "Take my son's picture off your website." If you guys haven't seen, they have a picture of Austin Metcalf that's kind of going around on social media and apparently also on this website. And it says "White Lives Matter," that type of thing. And the father basically said, "No, I'm not having this. What are you doing?"
It's crazy how it went from all lives matter to white lives matter that quick, huh, Sabby? Kind of like how we said it was always white lives, because that's what they were really saying whenever people say all lives matter. If like, why do you have to say if Black lives matter? Why do you have to say all lives matter? If all lives matter, rather, why do you have to negate me when I say Black lives matter? Because what you really mean to say is white lives matter. I don't know why. Like, I'm not saying your lives don't matter, but why do you need to interrupt me to say that? And they're making it, at least they're being honest. But shout out to his dad, yo. He's like, hey, just want to make sure everybody hears me. Fuck y'all. I don't want nothing to do with you. And I appreciate the fact that even in this time of grief, like he took the time to make it known how he felt. Because I believe to some degree he understands, like, I'm not a fool, because you know your kids. And he's like, my son was the aggressor. And he probably raised his son better. And he also probably knows, of course, his son's not racist, but we know, especially like you live in Fayetteville, like you know how school rivalries can get. It can get violent, unfortunately. That's just a reality of the situation. In a situation that shouldn't have turned bad, made a turn for the worse. It doesn't mean Karmelo is an evil human being. It doesn't mean that Austin deserved to die. And that's just it's an unfortunate situation. I do believe in self-defense, but none of this has to do with race. I don't believe that Austin Metcalf was racist. I believe that was probably like, get the hell out of my tent. You're not from our school. And for all we know, it could be a heated school. I mean, our school was in a couple of heated ass rivalries, and you don't know what that person's intention is. And and we don't know what personally, and I made this point on Twitter, like you don't know what Karmelo has been through, right? Like I have anxiety being like in large crowds or in clubs or situations like that, or like if somebody like starts raising their voice out of nowhere, because where I grew up at in Fayetteville, like the moment someone raises their voice, you're assuming somebody is a punch about to be thrown or someone's about to get shot.
Yeah.
And it was my life for the majority of my young adult life. That was what I had gone through. And so like my brother always like jokes, but he's being dead ass serious. Everybody's like, oh, why, how can you fight so well? And he's like, oh, it's because I have anxiety. I have really bad anxiety. I get nervous. And so I don't take any chances. And everybody starts laughing. And he's dead. Like, no, we're dead ass serious. Because my friends later on in life, they came from pretty well-off families. We went to night schools. But like whenever we felt like we were threatened, me or my brother, like it was, we don't take any chances. We just knock the motherfucker out. We don't, because you're yelling, you're raising your voice. My assumption is you're going to fight me. We don't know if you've lived in Texas, if you've been to Texas, bro, like go to like El Paso, my godson, immediately. It's sad because I had to be on his head about it and it's gotten a lot of trouble. But like, also understand it. He's half Mexican, half white, but he looks white. So he's not Mexican, basically is what I'm telling y'all. And he moved to El Paso in his junior year of high school, guys. He ain't make it a week without having to fight somebody. Didn't make it a week. And that was unfortunately somewhat of a race thing. It wasn't directly related to that. It was like partially being him being a new kid, not being Mexican at a mostly Mexican school. Like, but my godson also reacted to living in Fayetteville his entire life. And he's like, if you raising your voice, and he started carrying a pistol with him to school. He didn't bring it on campus. It was open campus, but like he would hide his pistol away because he remembered everybody who's died or almost died because of the experiences that he lived in Fayetteville. So we don't even know what Karmelo's gone through that he felt like he had to bring a knife.
Yeah, Nico and I both went to high school in Vietnam. And Fayetteville, North Carolina, but we used to call it Vietnam. And like, I went to Southview, and the school rivalry is like, it was a big deal. Like, there was a kid at my school, and I'll never forget this, you guys. This is why I say, like, you never know, right? There was a kid at my school. He got into an argument with kids from, rivalry school, right? At the McDonald's. This wasn't even,
whenever First and South used to beef.
Yeah, like got into an argument at McDonald's, and they left McDonald's or whatever, and that was supposed to be the end of it. He left McDonald's, went to the gas station. They followed him to the gas station and killed him.
Yep.
Killed him. That was my freshman year of college. My mom called me to tell me, do you know this kid he was a senior?
How many people have been killed at Rayford Road McDonald's? Like over nothing. Over nothing. Like things that like are trivial, juvenile, like now, yeah. But like for that stuff, just because you leave Fayetteville, like you don't ever remember that. People always talk about the fact, like Fayetteville people always mention the fact, like, yo, you feel like you never, like Fayetteville never leaves you, because the way people think, like y'all, a lot of people in some cities, they feel like they're gangster or whatever, like, or they feel like they're this hot shit, and oh yeah, we like fight, we'll do this, we'll do that. But like people from Fayetteville, if you look like you're about to start some shit, even if they're out of town, especially if they're out of town, they think we're crazy. Because when you say your intention, or you show your intention to fight somebody, like from Fayetteville, it's going to happen. We're not waiting for you to figure it out. We're not about to have a whole conversation about it. We're going to do whatever we can to protect ourselves, because in Fayetteville, they don't really do that much talking. Somebody is going to die, or somebody is going to get into a fight. And so that's like, I'm not saying it is right, but I'm just saying like that's reality. And so with this Karmelo situation, being that he's in Texas, I don't know what the dynamics of the school are. I don't know what's going on with, because it could be like that. Especially, like I said, given my godson's experience, I don't know what the dynamic is. So even though he shouldn't have had that knife with him, and he comes from a well-off family, what the hell I don't know what's going on in that situation where he felt like he needed to protect himself with a knife, because he was very, very clear, according to what everybody's saying. Like, he told him, don't put your hands on me, and was ready immediately to defend himself in a way that could destroy his life. Unfortunately, it really is already destroying his life, even if he gets off, right? The way that people viewing him, we don't know how that's going to affect his future. We don't know if it's going to affect scholarships, college applications, jobs, because now he's famous for stabbing a white kid, and we know how much implicit racial bias is out there.
Well, I'll tell you what I heard recently. Judge Joe Brown has been covering this. He was covering it on Dana's show, Dana with the Data. And Judge Joe Brown was comparing these two cases, Caysen Allison and Carmelo Anthony. And he said, with both cases, the force that was used is not self-defense for both of them. And he said because the response is not adequate to the force that was used against them.
Yeah, I mean, the unfortunate truth is I can see that. Because if you got a really good lawyer arguing for one case, so because Carmelo had time to go in his bag, right, to pull the knife out, it actually would mean that there wasn't enough force, it wasn't like a life-threatening movement that was made by Austin. Because if you were like knocked on your ass, shot, or something like that, or being jumped, you're not really gonna have enough time to get into your bag to get your knife, to pull it out and to stab him. And
but he said the same. He said the same thing about Caysen Allison. He said the same thing. So
Allison, there was already an acknowledgement that there was a problem he was waiting to happen, like that he was waiting for to happen. So that's premeditated. So he was kind of screwed from the jump. And then you brought a knife on campus, to your own school, and you stab somebody with the expectation of a fight happening, not knowing that this other you didn't say like, oh, I had heard that he had a gun. And if he would have said that prior to the stabbing, I feel like that might have somewhat justified it. Like then you can maybe get into the argument of self-defense with a little bit more confidence. But at the bare minimum, both are going to get manslaughter. At the very bare minimum, both are going to get manslaughter on top of obviously bringing weapons onto a school campus, which is a federal crime, I think, in most states. It's a federal crime, right?
At Texas, they can bring a knife as long as the blade is a certain
That is the most-
certain inches. It has to be a
That
certain
is the
size.
most Texas shit ever. Like, what?
I looked it up. I'm serious. I looked it up because I was curious as well. But here's the thing: the manslaughter thing. I think you're right. At the bare minimum, both of them, because there was a kid here in Massachusetts. He was just turning 18. He was a senior in high school. He was about to go to college. And he was texting and driving, and he looked up and he hit a car head on. So it was a head on collision. The man in the car died. And I watched the trial on TV. I remember watching the local news when they sentenced him to jail. His life is over. And I remember he was crying in the court, young kid. He was crying and he was like, I didn't mean to do it. I looked down at my phone for like 1 second. And sometimes that's all it takes. But the judge, the jury wasn't trying to hear that. They were just like, you may not have meant to kill that man, but you did kill him. So you got it. They charged him with manslaughter. So I would be surprised if neither one of these cases don't get that.
Yeah, because that's an accident, right? That's like not premeditated. And when you're talking about murdering a kid, I think they were both 18, right? All parties were at least 18, if I'm not mistaken.
Karmelo is 17.
So, but in Texas they get charged from 16 and up. They get charged with they get charged as 18-year-olds, right? As adults, if I'm not mistaken. Because him being 17 might be the only saving grace he has. Like to not be getting life, but I think that he's facing. Oh no, Case is facing 5 to 99. Is it Case who's facing 5 years and 99 years, or is it Karmelo?
Rick said 17 is an adult in Texas.
Yeah. So okay, yeah. So it's both of them then. Probably they're both facing life basically, which is sad. It really is. Kids, stop! Come on, y'all. Y'all got to stop this shit. That's just another just from as a kid as an adult who has been a young guy, I understand like the world's crazy right now. Like, and the internet is trying to tell you how to act and how you should handle yourself. And I know your friends can be a major influence, but sometimes y'all just got to stop and think, bro. Like, just stop. Don't let your adrenaline think for you. Just stop. Just even if you got to like once Caysen realized that there was going to be a fight over a girl, bro, talk to your parents. Just don't go to fucking school. Talk to whoever you got to talk to. Right. One time I did that and it didn't work out exactly how I would have liked it to. I still ended up having to fight the person, but like it was probably heavily de-escalated because I told my mom, and normally I wouldn't have done that, but my mom got the principal involved and it was going to be like this big fight between not just with me and the dude, but like with everybody involved. And it did end up just being me and the guy, but it was dealt with after that. It was a clear. No one's going to bring any weapons. No one's going to do anything like that. We're just going to throw hands because it was like he just felt disrespected, which it was over. And that was stupid because it was over a girl I did not like at all. Actually, I despise her. I did not like her at all. But he thought that she liked me. But I got my parents involved and I had to put my pride to the side because there's just some things that are more important. Like, I don't know, the rest of your life, for example. And now and the aspect that I think a lot of people probably aren't thinking about is like, I can't speak for the Caysen Allison case as much, but the Karmelo case, like he has to sit with it on his soul now, on his heart, that he took another kid's life. So like that's something else that he's always like the counseling. They talked about that. Part of that money that they fundraise is for the counseling that regardless of the outcome of this case, he's going to need that because he took a kid's life. He took another person's life. And that's the thing. If you're not like, he's not a killer, probably like he killed somebody, but that doesn't make him a killer. And that's something that's going to have to sit well on himself for the rest of his life. And that's not easy either. So just stop and think. For the love of God, like just stop and think.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, we won't know what's going to happen until the trial for both of those cases. But I wanted to mention both of those cases, you guys, so that people do realize that somewhat similar situation, same state, around the same time. And I just wanted to let you know that the corporate media is choosing to focus on the Carmelo Anthony case because they do want a racial division. So
and independent media, because I was looking when you mentioned the Caysen Allison case, I was like waiting, like, oh, let me look up what these people are saying about that. Like, what is Tim Pool saying about this? What is Benny Johnson? None of them have mentioned this case. And I was like, bro, it is almost damn near identical, except for, what race is involved in what and who's claiming self-defense. It's almost identical, except for a white kid stabbed a brown kid. And it's like, okay, So what happened to the culture that created this? Like that's what that guy just said, right? You don't want to stand up. You're weak for not standing up to the culture that created this. You're being weak. You're creating more Austin Metcalf. The audacity of that motherfucker to say that shit. Bro, if I was his dad, let me not say that. I'm trying to encourage the peace. But if I was his dad, I'm creating more. My son was just killed, and now you're saying because I'm saying I don't want racial division. No, I'm actually trying to prevent anything that could be perceived as a racial divide, because this shit could lead to more violence. Because we don't know, once again, because of how much people consume independent media, for better or for worse. We don't know how many kids are at school talking on some race war shit now. We don't know what's happening. It could be bad. And there could be a fight. There could be some beef between these schools now. And that could be based in race, which is why the father was like, you're part of the fucking problem. Because these kids were not fighting because of that. But now there could be more deaths and more violence because of that with these young kids because of you. Even though that's not what this was about by any means.
Well, Nico, thank you so much for coming on. Anything you got coming up?
Just the same show. Follow me on For the People podcast. You can look me up, Nico House, on Twitter at Real Nico House, on Instagram, same thing at Real Nico House. And of course, as always, follow Hotspot, guys. Hotspot. We've been killing it lately. We've been doing some crazy work because unfortunately, there's a lot of crazy news out there, bro. Like, it's too much. It's too much. We try to cover it all, but hey, at least you come to Hotspot, we're gonna give you the truth. So come check us out over there. Anything
you want to announce?
Yeah, man. So I'm gonna be a little bit busier in about 8 or 9 months because not 8 or 9 months, about 7 months. I'm having another baby. Yeah, man. We spit another one out. It's crazy. I'm about to be a dad again. I'm excited though. I'm happy. I'm really happy. Yeah.
We're dropping a beat for you, Nico.
Yo, and back to back.
Nico,
look, I'm like Robin Hood. I'm like Robin Hood with the aim, y'all. I'm like Robin Hood with the yeah. Yeah, the whole family's happy. About to have another Brazilian, a little Brazilian American up in here. Y'all. I need all y'all positive. I need a girl. I need a princess. I need a princess to spoil that will never leave me and will never need another man in her life. She won't move out until she's 66. That's my goal. So, I got 2 boys, and I'm like, bro, I can't handle. If I could get a third boy, like my 2 boys be breaking everything in my house now. My damn baby somehow kicked my motorcycle over today. He's like 1. I don't know how that happened. We were just upstairs, and my oldest runs upstairs. Lodge just kicked down your motorcycle. I was like, excuse me? Yeah, he kicked down a motorcycle. I'm like, how did he kick down a motorcycle? I don't even know how we even get to that situation. Well, he was climbing over something, and he climbed on top, or was trying to climb on top of it. And I'm like, and nobody stopped him? Like, what is going on? That was why was he outside? Like this, because his aunt was here. I was like, no, there's so much. Like, whatever, it's fine. But yeah, I can't do that. Like my daughter's just gonna hang out with daddy, be all cool, and until she's maybe like 15, and we'll see what happens if she go crazy or not. But I'm gonna enjoy them first few years as long as I can, for sure.
All right, Nico, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sabs. Appreciate you.
Bye. All right, guys, that was Nico House. Great convo there. Hey, guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.